Hi, everybody. This is Susan Clinton, one of your co hosts for Tough to Treat podcast. And this is episode number 191. It's a short webinar from my bowel course that I teach that's talking about sleep, exercise, and stress, and how to use these interventions or how to use interventions in these areas to help regulate the GI system. Oftentimes, when clients have very complex situations going on, sometimes the easiest thing to do is look to their foundations of health and begin to intervene in some ways that are very simple, but will add great clarity to their complex situation. In other words, if they can sleep a little easier, if they can move a little easier, if they can stress a little less or regulate their nervous system, you're going to be able to find newer pathways into interventions that are going to stick. I hope you enjoy this podcast and let me know your thoughts. Finally, Erica and I would like to remind you that GWHI, the Global Women's Health Initiative, of whom we are both board members, are participating heavily in Giving Tuesday. Please consider donating to our organization that we care so much about, bringing pelvic health to women that are underserved, both in the local and the global economies. You can donate directly at gwhi.org. Thank you and enjoy the podcast. Stress. We're never going to get away from it. Stress is a normal part of life. What we need to do is we need to learn how to mediate stress. We need to not live in a stress response all the time. We're going to have stress spikes in our life for sure, but it's when we don't come down and change the residual effects from stress that we get into trouble. When we wind up and get running and we stay that way all day, every day, it begins to take a toll on our system, and the GI system pays a dear price for that. So we know that stress has an alarm response, which is an immediate response to stress. That's, do we fight or do we run? What do we do? What are our choices, and what's going to be our immediate response for immediate survival? Once that threat is gone and we want to stay in that particular type of situation, that's called adaptation, and that requires a great deal of energy to maintain. Finally, at some point, if we adapt long enough, we move into exhaustion, and that means the adaptive energy is exhausted and signs of alarm again to reappear. So we have an immediate response, we keep going, we are crazy for another week, and then we come apart at the seams. And the next thing is we get sick. So there's another alarm that begins to appear, and our health begins to get affected. Stress can affect our bodies in many ways. It can depress the immune system, give us undue fatigue, affect sleep, give us lots of sleep disturbances, increase muscle tension, be a driver for headaches. But one of the biggest things it does is it gives us GI disturbances. It really slows the GI system down and really feeds into constipation. The emotional impact has a lot to do with stress. How we handle our stress is everything. We're going to have it, but if we handle it with high emotions, that can make us more nervous, increase our anxiety, and especially change our eating habits. Not so much overeating, but eating things we know particularly aren't good for us. We start going to sugar because we need the energy to maintain that stress level, right? We have a loss of enthusiasm and energy as it keeps going, and we also can have a lot of mood changes as well. Prolonged stress on the body is going to have increased cortisol levels. When we have increased cortisol levels in the body, we're going to be running into issues of high blood pressure, breakdown of muscle, suppressed immune system, and changes in GI activity. Not only will we be constipated, but we're probably more prone to low stomach acid and the development of ulcers. So, help your clients understand what stress is. Help them understand that they're going to have stressful situations in their life, but some of the things that we're going to be doing with them with the autonomic quieting is ways for them to be able to pull themselves back down and not stay in that alarm system so often. One of the best ways to regulate sleep and stress is through exercise. Exercise on a regular basis helps to turn down the production of stress hormones and neurochemicals. It helps us avoid the damage to our health that prolonged stress can cause. And studies have found that exercise is great as an antidepressant, anti-anxiety, and for a sleeping aid. So rather than turning to pharmaceuticals, maybe let's just go for a walk. Moderated exercise is a healthy lifestyle addition in general, and exercise increases ascending and descending colon peristalsis in patients with constipation and in the general population as well. Exercise in women correlates with a decreased prevalence in constipation, and evidence-based data are absent demonstrating exercise's effect upon even more chronic constipation in isolation. But we do know that if we can get things moving, that can help get the colon moving, and in that fact could probably help begin to start moving even the more chronic constipators along the road. Strength training can accelerate whole bowel transit time. So if you're wondering what you do for your slow transit constipation patients, strength training can be something that they can add in. Loading, huffing and puffing, and lifting and moving can actually get the bowels going. It can help get the mucosal blood flow and get whole gut transit time to improve. If we have individuals that cannot do high intensity exercise or even moderate intensity exercise, what do? We may have to think about working with people in smaller ways. So in other words, if they can't go to the gym and lift heavy, they can lift their grocery bags. Maybe getting up and down from a chair is going to be enough loading for some people if they are moderately disabled or ill or just not strong. We have to scale the exercise and have them do it in a place where they're comfortable and in a place where they can begin to make changes, even if it's just by working out in their home. Also, for slow transit constipation, moderate aerobic exercise can improve gut transit time as well. Then it helps decrease the conditions hallmarked by infrequent urge to defecate, bloating, and abdominal pain and discomfort. We know that the American College of Sports Medicine and the American Heart Association have endorsed new levels of exercise. Once upon a time, people still believe or did believe that if they didn't exercise for 45 minutes to an hour straight, that they wouldn't get the heart healthy benefits from it. Now we know that you can walk 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 15 minutes here, 5 minutes there, and it all adds up. And we know that now, and people are more into doing this because they're all getting Fitbits and trying to get their 10,000 steps in, and they're not walking 10,000 steps at once. So it helps kind of just for people who are having pain and maybe can only walk 10 minutes, I can get them walking 5 minutes 3 or 4 times a day. Now they're getting in a 20-minute walk that they weren't doing before. We're just breaking it up and scaling it around the activities that they're able to perform. So some of the basic recommendations are some intense cardio 30 minutes a day, if you can, or intense cardio 20 minutes a day, 3 times a week, or some strength training and some cardio mixed in together. All of these have been shown to be very good for people and to change their health markers. We just talked about the short bouts, but just as remember that 10-minute bouts or 5-minute bouts can be just as effective for exercising for longer periods of time, and it's a way to fit physical activity into a busy schedule. Everybody usually asks me, how hard should I walk, or should I be able to talk and run at the same time? All of the indications are that moderate intensity of physical activity is good. You want to work hard enough to raise your heart rate and break a sweat, but you still want to be able to carry on a conversation with somebody next to you. So again, that comes into the breath holding. If you are worried about somebody breath holding while they're exercising and increasing all of those large intra-abdominal pressures, just be sure they're talking or singing to their headset or whatever it is that they're doing so that they can check in and make sure they're not breath holding. It's easy to do. I ask people to mix it up. Variance is king. Variance is going to make you a lot more resilient, so don't do the same thing every day. Do different things different days. Get it on your schedule. We never schedule the things that are important to us first. We only schedule the things we have to do first. Change that up a little bit. Set your schedule to something that's very important to you and fill in the rest with the stuff you have to do. You don't have to join a gym. You can make it a family or a social affair. Get with your friends and go for a walk. Grab a pair of tennis shoes and get your favorite music and head out the door. There's a lot of different ways to move without having to go to the gym. Finally, with stress and exercise, another key component of changing people's response to stress can be autonomic quieting. And this can be 1,000 different techniques. Some of my favorite are on this page here. One of them is diaphragmatic breathing. I think it's absolutely fabulous. I like to have somebody with a hand on their belly and a hand on their chest nice and easy and quiet, I want both hands to move equally. When they're at rest and doing quiet, restful breathing, the lungs need to fill up and exhale, and the belly needs to rise and fall with it. That way we're sure that we've got the diaphragm descending and ascending along with the pelvic floor. A hand and feet warming technique is really fun to do too, because remember, under a sympathetic response, our hands feel cold. So you can have people lay quiet and they can actually put their hands together and just imagine their hands getting warmer. They can use it with colors, they can use it with thought, they can do all kinds of different things. If they feel like that they can't quite get the hang of it, have them wrap it up in like a comfortable blanket and then work on the same activity. The thought process and working on that can take them out of a stress response. Progressive muscle relaxation techniques are great, tightening something up and letting it go, tightening something up and letting it go, much like we do with the pelvic floor. When we have a pelvic floor that is having difficulty relaxing, sometimes we'll get them to lift a little bit and then really let that go. And that can help people kind of clue into where they're really holding tension. With the spine, rotation is king. Spinal mobilization exercises should be rotation, rotation, rotation. Get people moving and rotating as often as they can. This section is going to cover adjunct considerations for the client with GI dysfunction and what you as a physical therapy can do with these kinds of things. The first thing I'm going to talk about is sleep. Sleep is very important. Think about how you feel after you have a great night's sleep. You're so energized, you're ready to go. You can face the day. That's really how we should be almost every morning that we wake up. Think also about times when you're grumpy or you feel overwhelmed and you're unable to make things make sense. Your schedule doesn't work. Your kid's schedule doesn't work. You're not sure how this is going to get done and that's going to get done. Then you have a night's sleep and the next morning, magically everything falls into place. So there is something to how our brain changes when we can get a decent night rest. I love to talk about this with my clients. I think their history of sleep is really, really important because it tells me how much rest they're getting, and rest and digest go together. So I want to know what kind of stress they're under at home. How many hours are they sleeping at night? Is it taking them longer than 20 minutes to fall asleep? Is your sleep interrupted at night? If so, why? What's making you get interrupted? Is it because of loud noises? Is it because of babies? Is it because of needing to get up to urinate or to actually have a bowel movement? Or are you just waking up with your mind racing? Those are important things to find out. Sleep is important. It helps us maintain the immune system, and it's responsible for the regulation of bodily functions. We're not meant to not sleep. We are meant to actually sleep 6 to 8 hours a night and be able to move through all 4 phases of sleep. If we can get to bed 1 or 2 hours before midnight or 1 a.m., human growth hormone can be released, and it's enhanced if the sleep does occur before 1 to 2 a.m. Sleep does a lot of great things for us. It helps us reduce body fat mass, it increases our lean body mass, and increases the total body water that we have. It helps us oppose the action of insulin on fat cells, and it increases fat mobilization by hydrolysis of triglycerides into glycerol and free fatty acids. So all of these things are very important for us to move things through our system and to actually create waste that our GI system is built to deal with. Sleep also stimulates fatty acid transportation from adipose tissue to the liver. It increases oxygen consumption and cardiac output and reduces coronary, cerebral vascular disease, and premature death. It helps reduce osteoporosis, and it has an increase in quality of life, which will reduce depression, fatigue, and pain. If we're not sleeping, we're going to get a reduction in all the processes that we just talked about. But mainly you're going to get a slowing of the GI and digestive cycle, resulting in problems of food absorption and constipation. The production of human growth hormone and serotonin are also going to be affected. If we don't have the serotonin being produced in the gut, then it's not going to be traveling to the brain. And remember that 95% of the serotonin that the brain needs is manufactured in the gut. So how do we get people to go to sleep? Here's some great tips. Go to bed at the same time each night and try to wake up at the same time each day, even during the week and on the weekends. Set your bedtime and wake up at least 8 hours apart. Keep evening lights as low as possible for a few hours before bedtime. Keep your bedroom quiet, dark, cool, and comfortable. Some people have moon windows in their rooms and, ambient light. We have to remember that man did sleep under ambient light, so if that doesn't interfere with your sleep, you're good there. If you do have ambient light and it does keep you from sleeping soundly, you might want to consider using an eye mask. No temperature extremes, no noisy distractions, and here's a big one: never use your bed for anything but sleep and intimacy. That means do not work in bed, do not work in bed, leave your computer somewhere else, don't take it to your bed with you, don't watch TV in bed or read, okay? So you have to think about those things. Bed is for sleeping, and that will help your body know that when it lays down in bed, it's time for sleep. A comfortable and supportive mattress. All the time, patients are asking me, what kind of a mattress should I get? And my answer to them is one you can return. It's that simple. There's no way you're going to find out in a 30-minute session at a mattress store or a furniture store if that bed is going to feel good for you. You have to sleep on it. So there are some wonderful companies out there, many, many more than you think, that have a 90-day return policy. Those are the ones you should get. Invest in your sleep, invest in a comfortable mattress, and if you need to, return it and get a different one until you find the one that really is going to work well for you. Regular exercise is also helpful with sleep. No later than 4 hours prior to bedtime, however, if you're going to be doing really high cardiovascular stimulating exercise, because it may make it longer for you to fall asleep. Some people do much, much better if they exercise like that in the morning, afternoon, or as early in the evening as possible. Don't eat too close to bedtime, and certainly don't eat big full meals right before bedtime. Stay away from caffeine within 6 hours. As we age, it's interesting because we lose our ability to metabolize caffeine. So what may have worked for some of your clients when they were 30 may not be working for them at 50. Part of the problem is they're just not metabolizing the caffeine like they used to. There's been a lot of research about naps. Avoiding naps, taking naps. Naps are good for you, naps are not good for you. Nobody really seems to come to any kind of a consensus. I think you just need to follow the normal rhythms of your body. There's going to be those days where it would be great to just like put your head down for 30 minutes if you could. Don't worry about it, just do it. What you might want to be concerned about is if at the same time every day you feel like you need to have an hour or 2 hour nap. And that goes back to what's happening at night. Are you not sleeping through the night? Are you not getting the right nutrition to power yourself through the day? You know, so when it becomes a constant, then it's something to be concerned about. But if it's just those rhythmic things that occur, it's okay.